welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. I promised you that this week I was going to find you a show-stopping lady, and I'm going to tell you all about my relationship with this lady, but stay tuned and I'll tell you towards the end, because I want you to stay tuned to the end of this conversation and hear everything we will be unpacking today. But today in the studio, I have a wonderful lady by the name Mrs. Frederica Ahwireng-Obeng. She is a lawyer, she's an author, she's a disruptor. I mean, some have described her as a superhero. Just to let you know that in 2021, she has been voted as one of the 100 influential lawyers in the whole of Africa. So you will go through this conversation with me because there's so much that she has done over the years that I feel that as young leaders, aspiring leaders, people that are already in leadership position, there's so much more that we could be learning from her today. So do stay tuned. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel or Facebook page, I want to encourage you to subscribe, hit the notification button. So whenever we upload a new conversation, you will be the first to know. Conversations like this should not be had with one person. Share it with a brother or sister. And after that, you guys can have a dialogue and learn together, because there's so much we are going to be learning today. Ladies and gentlemen, without much ado, I would like to say a big welcome to Mrs. Frederica Ahwireng-Obeng.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Is it all right for me to call you Auntie Frederica?
Oh, yes, that's fine. Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, because it's more easier for me to call you Auntie Frederica than giving the whole. So, Auntie Frederica, I'm just going to tell people a little bit. I think basically your whole leadership journey has just been, for me, it's been an inspiring one. It's been a motivational one. It's been a phenomenal one. So I'm going to look at little bits of things that you have done over the years, and then we will talk about them and what made you make setting moves, what made you go to setting places, what made you take setting steps, and sort of lessons that you kind of learned along the way. So one of the things that I want us to start off with is she is a lawyer. She is a senior lecturer, and she is still working till this date. She's working as a senior lecturer in 2 different universities. And that conversation I'm going to unpack to the end, because again, one thing you need to realize is let nobody tell you when you can stop working or when you've got to hang up your boots. And Auntie Frederica is an example, a classic example of that. So Auntie Frederica, can you tell us a little bit about your whole journey as a lawyer? When did you become a lawyer and how it took off, your career took off?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. You know, it's quite interesting because I think I was around the age of 10, and I just decided that I want to become a lawyer, you know, because I just loved the legal profession. I used to read the Daily Graphic a lot, you know, one of the main dailies in Ghana. And I used to read a lot about a particular lady, one Justice Ani Jage. I think she was the first female judge in Ghana. And I wanted to be exactly like her. And therefore, my whole journey, even from the age of 10, was to become a judge or a lawyer or, you know, work in that field.
In the legal field.
So, to cut a long story short, I managed to get admitted to the Ghana Law School. I studied law. And I was working in the private practice, now joined the Attorney General's department. And I must confess that it was quite daunting because I was very young. I think I became a lawyer maybe at the age of 23, 24. And there I was in court arguing cases, you know, against very senior lawyers. So it wasn't easy. But eventually I got married, and then we moved to South Africa. Okay. Now, that was where the difficulty actually started right?
From. Wow.
I hope I'm telling you what you want to hear, because the question
was... I mean, which is fine. Maybe I can just we will continue from South Africa now. Just give me 1 minute. But there's some things that you said, key things that I think I want to drive home here. Her passion started from the age of 10, and she continued to follow that passion through to the end. A lot of us have passions that we pack to one side, and sometimes we'll go and do things that are popular. We'll go and do things that other people want us to do, and then yet you've got this very passion. She had a passion from age age 10, she got inspired by someone and she kind of followed it all the way through to the end. So people, passion is a great thing. Because one of the questions I was going to ask her earlier on is, what has been your passion this or this time? What is fuel the way that you've become? But then she's told us, she says it started at the age of 10. She got inspired by someone. She felt passionate about the law industry, and then she went into it. So I know that in 1973, you joined the Attorney General's Department in Ghana. And so around that time when you joined it, was it a male-dominated sector? Was there lots of females around at the time when you joined it? Were there younger women like you? Because you graduated or qualified from about 23, 24. So you must have been one of the young female lawyers around. How did you find that time?
Yes, like I said earlier, it was quite difficult and it was daunting. And then there were just a few female lawyers, like you said, it was wholly male dominated. And these males happened to be my bosses, you know how it is. So, but I must say that I was quite fortunate because they were very nice to me, so they would help me to prepare my cases to go to court. But the most difficult part was appearing before the judges, because you then have to get up to do your cross-examination. First, you do your examination in chief, and then you have to do cross-examination, and the judges will be asking you questions, and some of the judges were very scary. Of course, they are much older, more experienced, and they will be throwing questions to you left and right. I mean, I lost a few cases. I must confess that I should never have lost, but it was just simply because I was new and I had just come out of varsity, law school, and I was still learning. But I said to myself, there are two principles that I have always lived with, right from a very young age, and it's perseverance. Perseverance overcomes everything. And then when I got to law school, I also learned the Latin version, which is labor omnia vincit. And this has been my guiding star. As I used to say to myself, in those days, when we couldn't speak like that much English and very good English, we used to say that, I used to say to myself, what one man has done, another man can do. So I didn't see myself. That's a good one. I was like, why couldn't I be a judge? Why couldn't I drive? Because at that time, really, there were just about maybe 0.55% of female drivers in Ghana. And I said to myself, I'm going to be a lawyer and I'm going to get my own car and I am going to drive and I'm going to be one of the few women drivers in Ghana. And I did. And therefore, you have to always have a mission. And you need to follow the route that will take you to that vision. And that's what I had. The other principle, and I always say this to my students, that to the start, you need to pass through bolts and bars, ad astra per aspera. Nothing comes easy in life, but you need to know where you are going, and then you need to also know the route that you are going to follow. I give the example that right now I'm in Accra, and I want to go to Kumasi, I know the route from Accra to Kumasi, and that is the route that I should follow. Because if I follow the wrong route, I'm going to find myself in Cape Coast, another destination altogether. So you have to know where you want to go, and then you have to follow that route, irrespective of the tribulations, the difficulties, the mountains that you have to climb. Because if you are focused, one day you are definitely going to get there. So this is, is what caused me to stay at the Attorney General's department and then to continue to develop from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh, did you guys get that? I mean, let me give you three things that I took. I mean, she says that resilience and perseverance will help you to become everything that you want to become. Also, she says, what one man can do, another man can also do. And then she says, have a mission, discover the route that you're going to take to fulfill that mission, and then focus on it, and then you would achieve it. And I think that's the thing with a lot of young leaders these days is sometimes they don't even have a mission. They're just looking around. What are other people doing? And so I'm just going to copy a little bit of it. A lot of leaders have become copycats and don't have their own mission. They don't have their own route to achieving those things. And like you're saying, so have your own mission. What is your mission? Follow it. What is your why? And I think it takes everybody back to your why. What is my why? And my big why. And then you follow it through. And also, I think there's something that you said that I think is very important. You didn't want to be average. You were not accepting what was happening around you, because you said there's only about 0.5% of women that are driving. I'm going to be one of them. I don't see a reason why I can't be one of them. And I'm going to pursue it, and I will become one of them. And I'm the youngest lawyer here. I want to be a female lawyer, and I'm not going to let anybody put me off. And a lot of the things you're saying sometimes as well, you do things scary. I'm sure when you went to court, you were scared, but it never meant that you never went back to court.
That's it. Yeah.
You continued, and this is where we are today, to be voted as one of the top lawyers, disruptors in the industry for 2021. So I just want to say a big thank you. But I hope the leaders that are listening and aspiring leaders, you've taken some golden nuggets out of this. Auntie Rama, I know that from Ghana, you moved to England for a little while, and then you did a sidestep and also moved Africa.
Yes.
The other thing is, you just did not remain in one environment, did you? And when you went to different environment, you took your law with you. Because sometimes what we are having happening is a lot of people are traveling probably from one place to the next, and they don't necessarily end up operating in the qualification and the passion that they already had. I mean, due to one circumstance or the other, they get to another place and then they show up in a different form or show up. But you took your law from all of these places. And so is this something, I mean, again, I know you said it's a passion from the age of 10 that I'm going to do law. And do you say that you were just lucky to be able to do this, or things were indeed hard in these other countries that you were going, but you were so determined that you were going to practice law to the end?
Yes, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all, because even the studies themselves weren't easy at all, because during our time, this technology wasn't like it is today. So it's like going to the library almost on a daily basis and studying. Studying was very difficult. It was very, very difficult. Those days, becoming a lawyer wasn't easy. But, the most difficult part of my life was my moving to South Africa, from Ghana to South Africa. It was difficult. Because first of all, it was during the apartheid days. So can you imagine? I mean, Black people were not very welcome by the Black people of South Africa, right? Yeah. The indigenes, and then also by the white people. So we had xenophobia, Black people, and then apartheid, white people. So it was very difficult. I had to work with, but we went to one of the homelands at that time. They created these little homelands for Black people. Yeah. So we went to one of them. Very interesting. We had good friends, but work-wise, it was very difficult. I got there, and I think they did not have a female lawyer. I was the first female lawyer, albeit a foreigner, in that particular homeland. They called it Transkei then. And I was appointed a magistrate. So the government in that whole homeland appointed me as a magistrate to now go and deal with their cases. And the chief magistrate could not stand a Black person and a Black woman.
A woman.
So that made it very tough for me. And I think I resigned after about 6 months. So that's when I moved to the university to now start with my teaching career. Yeah. And this, I think, was around 1987, you see. Yeah. So I joined the university, and the other difficulty that I faced was, Ghana is the English legal system. South Africa is the Dutch legal system. So I had to start all over again to learn. Gosh. Yeah. So,
but you still did.
Oh, yes.
You still did, yeah.
I did. And that's why I always talk about perseverance. And that's what I tell my children. And that's what I tell my students all the time. You need to persevere, and you need to say to yourself, if A has done it, I can also do it. Roman Dutch law, yes, that was Roman Dutch law. And then I moved from a English legal system. I go to this Roman Dutch thing, and I had to study. And guess what I decided to do? I said to myself, why don't you study for your master's? Because by so doing, you will be able then to study the Roman Dutch law, and I did it. And you know what? The people used to applaud me. I'm sorry, it's not that I want to my home.
I know, yeah.
They were so surprised. It's like the first time they've seen a Black woman speaking good English and lecturing. And some of my students were actually ministers of state from this little homeland, the Transcar. Yes, some of my ministers were. So we made a lot of friends and people in very high positions. So the stay in Transcar wasn't bad. It was eventually.
Can I just throw in that whilst all of this was happening, you were mom to 3 wonderful girls. Yes. And a wife.
I was a wife.
And so, because I don't want people to think that, you were just a silo and you were just focusing on career. You had 3 wonderful daughters at the time that you were having to look after. So can it nicely bring me to this question? How do we balance life? Because I come across people or have to coach people that say, I can't do this because I've got kids. I can't do that because I don't have this qualification. I cannot do this because my husband or my wife. And I'm trying to say that life is always a balancing act. And for you to become great, you've got to be great at balancing. What would you say about how did you juggle? How is life? How can we balance? What word can you say to somebody who is saying, I'm remaining here because I can't juggle?
Yes, and like I said, if you have a vision, then you must find a way out. Because, I don't like it when I hear people saying that, I had to end my studies because I started having children. That's not the way things should happen. Because if you do that, then it means you don't have a vision. Because if you have a vision, then you must know what to do. And I really must confess that I had a very good and supportive husband.
Yeah.
So we were doing everything together. There were times that, can you believe it, I had to take the children with me, 3 of them, including a baby, to school, to lecture. So whilst I'm lecturing, the children will be in my office, sometimes locked up. My husband will be checking on them from time to time. If he is free, then he would stay with them in his office. That was the way we did it. So you really have to plan if you are bent on achieving certain goals. Then you have to have a plan in place. Yeah. You really have to have a plan in place. Because, as a woman, you need to know that anything can happen at any time in life, Yeah. So it's not a good idea at all. In fact, it's a bad idea to decide that, I'm going to rely on my husband. My husband is wealthy. I'm just going to stay home and take care of the children. My goodness me. No, there are other things that you can do. Take the children to the creche. Get a house help. Get your, the cameras inside if you want to watch them from your workplace. Do something like that. But do not let it affect your career or your profession. Even age, sometimes people, Gertrude, I am 70 plus, but I'm still working. And people always say to me, oh, wow. And every day I climb three floors to go to my one lecture, and then I descend, I come to the other block, and then I climb to 2 floors. And people are like, but how do you do it? And I'm saying that, well, I'm able to do it because I do it.
Yeah.
And
I'm determined to do it.
Exactly. Because I'm also exercising. And you know that, of course, it's very good for the, So if you have it, like I said, labor omnia vincit. Perseverance overcomes everything. Having children, being married, husband being naughty, husband not being nice, children. No. Don't just throw your arms in the air and say that, oh my word, what can I do? There's nothing I can do. You don't do that. Every bad situation, you make something good out of it. Yeah.
Gosh. I mean, Auntie Frederica is saying that if you've got a vision, then you should find a way to fulfill that vision. But I think a lot of the problem is people don't have a vision. People just wake up every day and what the day brings is what I would do. If that's the way you live your life, then there's no vision. You cannot be finding any way out. But you should plan your life. Life is about planning. I mean, I'm a Christian. I'm big on Christianity. Even the Bible says that we should have a vision. And he says, write the vision boldly so that he who sees it will run. So the Bible talks about vision. He says we should write it out boldly. I know that sometimes it's not every vision that you write that you're able to fulfill, but at least write it, write something. I mean, I've got every year I try and have different visions for different aspects of my life. Do I fulfill all of them? At the end of the year, I take it. Some I do, some I have, some I had to tweak, some had to change because of the season of my life that I was in. Some I'm going to carry forward, but at least have a vision and I draw a plan. Having a vision is not enough. Oh, I'm going to be great. People have a big, bold vision like that. I'm going to be great. How are you going to be great? What are the steps that you are going to take to get to greatness? You've got to outline it and then you've got to start working it because it's a work. It takes work. Nothing in life, like you said, comes easy. Nobody's going to get it easy. I know people are looking for a microwave society, or we are in a microwave society where people want everything quick, get rich quick, get everything quick. And sometimes on social media, it can feel like people are having everything quick, but nothing good comes easy. If you want a long-lasting business, if you want to have a long-lasting career, if you want to have a long-lasting life, then you've got to work at it. And I think I was going to save this conversation for the end. You just heard Auntie Frederica said it. She says, I'm in my 70s. Does she look like she's in her 70s? No. She is. And I've got to tell you one secret about her. The woman climbs those stairs in heels. She's always in wedges. She is always in wedges from her 20s to her 70s. She's always in wedges and she's going up those stairs. So if you want to know the secrets of long life and staying working long, get your wedges on and go up and down those 3 flights of stairs. Don't let anyone tell you what you can and cannot do.
Yeah, since you remember, Gertrude, I think you might as well get me a pair. But I was going to add that even the Bible also says that heaven helps those who
help themselves. Yes, indeed. Heaven helps those who helps them. But the Bible says, show me the works of your hands, and he says, I will bless the works of. The problem is a lot of us doesn't have any works of our hands for God to bless.
Exactly. There's nothing to
so where's the works? There's nothing to bless. And if you look through scriptures, anyone that was going to receive some level of blessing, always either Jesus asked, what have you got in your house? Or the prophet will ask, what have you got? Because it's what you have that I can multiply. But if you've got nothing, what am I going to multiply? When Jesus was going to do the 5 loaves of bread and 3 fishes, he to multiply them for the people that had come to his sermon, he had to have 5 loaves of bread, 3 fishes, and then multiply it. It always has to, multiplication has to start from something. A lot of us are holding 0. A lot of us are just sat there and waiting for multiplication. I think I must as well just throw this bit in. A lot of us are prayer warriors, and we are praying for things to happen, but we've got nothing in our hands. Prayers are, you know me, I am great on prayer, and I just think we should all be praying. But again, prayer is a strategy. You've prayer right, because if you've got nothing to take back for God to bless, you can pray as much as you want to, but you are not achieving what you're supposed to be achieving. It doesn't mean that we don't have a good God or we don't have a loving God. It's because we are not helping ourselves first. So, Auntie Frederica, thank you very much. I just want to sum you up a little bit about what my own knowing you is. And I have always watched you, and I feel like you're somebody that does not settle for less. You never want to be average. You are never mediocre. Nobody can put you in a box. Would you say this is a fair assessment of you? I think you've already touched on quite a bit anyway, but that's my assessment of you. If somebody says, can you sum you up? I'll say, yes, she's a disruptor. She disrupts industries. She's a go-getter. Nobody fits her into a box. She's not going to settle for average. She's not mediocre. What would you say?
Yeah, I think it's a very fair description, because, I left Ghana. I was away for probably 30 plus years.
Yeah.
So when I came back to Ghana, most of the laws and the principles that I studied at university, the law school, and which I applied in those days, 30 years, before, had changed. Everything had changed. So I remember my own sister said to me that, well, what are you going to do now? Because the laws have changed, And yes, I was now used to Roman Dutch law, and now I'm coming back to the Ghana legal system, and the laws have changed. There is a new constitution. How am I going to go about it? And you know what I said to myself? I am not going to allow that to dissuade me from doing what I want to do. So I went back to school on my own. I studied the Constitution. I studied almost everything I studied, because otherwise I couldn't be teaching at the law school. My specialty really is family law, but almost all the laws on family law has changed. But I started and then studying, because like you said, I wasn't going to allow anybody to put me in that box, because I know some people, they've left, they've come back, and now they are at home, not knowing what to do, completely lost. But I said, no, I'm not going to be one of those people, to the extent that I am now writing textbooks for the law school.
I know that I wanted to come to that people, she just did not come back and retrain and go and become a senior lecturer of 2 law universities. She's now writing books. So the very law that had changed completely, she's come back, and now she's writing, restudied, and she's now writing in the same law. Auntie Rama, this is just tremendous. People, don't let age be a barrier. Don't let your environment be a barrier. Don't let your relationships with people and people's expectations of you be a barrier. This is what I'm hearing. Because you see, Auntie Frederica has moved from country to country, and she never let her environment become a barrier. She never let the fact that I'm in a male-dominated industry become a barrier. The fact that I'm in a different country with different legalities and different legal system become a barrier. She's come back home, and the home that I came back to has completely changed, because the whole environment is changed again. But again, I'm not just going to fold my arms. I'm going to retrain, and then I'm even going to start training others, because she's now gone on and she's now lecturing at 2 law universities, teaching people about the law, and now she's leaving behind a lasting legacy. So I wanted to come back to this because I just see your book writing being a legacy, and the Bible says that a good man leaves behind a legacy for his children. And for me, when I talk about, I think from Africa, we always talk about the fact that we are all children of Africa. Everyone is a child. So when you're leaving behind, you're not just leaving a legacy for your 3 biological children, but you're leaving a legacy for the whole nation, because we are all and then also, so a good man leaves behind a legacy, and you've chosen. And when it says legacy, sometimes people say to me, legacies means wealth. or money or a house or a this. It's not just that. You've got so much knowledge. And I think you've got to write a memoir as well. I know you're writing law books, but you've got to, everything we're talking about, we've got to find someone to put it in a book. And you've got to leave behind, because I think that as leaders, not just for somebody who is a lawyer or somebody who's in the law industry, but then I think for the whole of leadership, because you have gone through ups and downs, how you navigated your way out of it. And I think there's so much wisdom that people can pick out of that. So again, I know that I'm saying your book is a legacy. Tell me about it. When you were writing it, what was going on through your mind when you decided to write this book or these books? Because it's not just the one book.
Yeah, when I started teaching at the law school, and there was one main family law book, and then I said to myself that, how do I make it easier for students to actually understand the principles? And to be very honest, some students also approached me that, please, Mrs. Ahwireng-Obeng, why don't you put your notes in a book? Because then it will help us. We're not able to write everything down in class. So I said, okay, then this will be a very good idea. So that's how I started. And then I wrote the first book. And then I realized that, no, I need to write a second one to expatiate on some of the principles in the first book. So that's what I did. And students are loving it, they really love it. But like you were saying earlier on, at least about 1,000 lawyers, that is the minimum, probably 1,500, have passed through my hands at the law school.
Yes.
And I don't only teach them law. About 10, 15 minutes of the lecture period, I also speak to them about other things, like what you are talking about now, or what we are discussing now. The fact that you need to help yourself, you need to persevere. Remember that you can do whatever another person has done. Don't think that there are any impediments in your way, because truly, God created all of us equally. And everybody has a hidden talent. So it is up to you to capitalize on the talent that God has given you. And therefore, I wrote that one. And then, of course, another subject I was teaching, constitutional law, came. I wrote a book on administrative law. And then I also decided that let me just help the public at large. Because, there are so many issues when it comes to woman and man relationship. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah.
Relationship, having children, and then domestic violence, etc., etc. What do I do? This has happened. Where do I go to? So I decided to put together a small booklet for the public, which talks about all these matters, especially for Ghanaian nationals. Where do I go to? Yes. So I decided that let me also help the rest of the population in Ghana, apart from the law school. Yes. So that's what I did.
This is amazing. This is amazing. And I mean, it's a round of applause. No wonder, reading up on you, you were referred to as a superhero. And I'm going to say this in the end. Guys, when I was growing up, this is my coolest auntie. This is the auntie that you go to, and she's the coolest one in the family. So I'm sorry, but I'm sorry to the rest of my family. I'm sorry those that are going to get upset, but she is the coolest one. So this is amazing. And you're not just thinking about your own children, it's about mentoring other young people, other lawyers that are coming through your establishment. And as you said, it's not just the academic work, because academic does not completely make a person. It's about, and also we don't want to wait for people to experience some of the things that we experience. What lessons do we learn through learning, you passing that on to other people as well? And then I like the fact that you are now not just looking at the student, but you're looking at the wider community. And for me, this is give back. I always say, to whom much is given, much is expected. And so as leaders, we should always look for avenues in which we can be a blessing to other people, and avenues in which we can lead. But I like what you were giving. You were not giving somebody a pound here and a pound there, or 20 pounds here and 20 pounds there, 10 Ghana cities here and there, but you were giving them a lasting legacy. That book will go on and help people beyond, way beyond after you have gone, rather than a $20 note here and there. This is going to be a very lasting. So again, I want to say a big thank you. That's inspirational. That is very wonderful. What advice would you give to people in the diaspora that would want to come to Ghana, first of all, or those that are in the diaspora and saying, what can I do to help? Because for me, the big is, you were in Ghana, did your education in Ghana. Yes, you went out for a number of years, I mean, significant amount of years, but you've come back, and you've come back for a while, and you are just giving back and being a part of the conversation in Ghana, being a part of the industry. And I'm sure you're not going to acknowledge this, but there are things that you are shifting, you're changing the conversation one way or the other in Ghana. This book that you're putting in the hands of the common Ghanaian, it's equipping somebody, it's empowering someone. So when I go to my lawyer, first of all, I've got my stuff that Auntie Frederica has written in here. So I know a few things that I should be asking the lawyer to do for me. You can't pull the wool over. So what would you advise to people that are thinking, oh, I want to come back and give back to Ghana or to whatever country that I come from? Or how is this something that you think they should be doing? And is there something that we can do?
I think that if you are in the diaspora and you plan to come back at a certain point, then the first thing is that you must not wait for too long. Because I realized that I was away for too long. Because if I knew that I was still going to come back to practice law, then I should have come a little bit earlier. Because too many things had changed. And therefore, it was a bit difficult. And the other thing is that you also need to keep abreast with what is happening in Ghana, so that when you come back eventually and finally, you don't get completely lost. You know, I was lost a little bit when I came in, and I was overwhelmed in my profession by all the changes in the law. Plus, it is so amazing, and I think it is actually not fair for a Ghanaian to go away for probably 25 years and 30 years to come back, and then people refusing to accept you. It takes time to actually assimilate into the rest of society. I still have not, because there are lawyers who think they will see you and it's like, where is she coming from? Because remember, at my age, 70 plus, now you have lawyers who are 50, 45, 43, maybe even early 60s. They don't know you. They can't tell. It's like, who is this woman? And you know what they do in court when cases are called according to seniority. So I go to court and I am the most senior of all the lawyers sitting there. But the junior lawyer is going to stand up. And then when I stand up, it's like, excuse me, madam. I'm like, excuse me. Remember when I was called to the bar? I've been at the bar for more than 50 years, So it becomes a bit difficult. So people, if you plan to come back eventually, then visit from time. Touch base with your colleagues, your friends, and then also be abreast with the happenings in Ghana.
Thank you. Or whatever country that you want to be going back to as well. Yes, keep abreast with it, and then go a little bit early and find out what is happening there. And also, again, I just wanted to say as well, some people may never want to go back, but I just also want to home in on, it's good to still remember those that are behind, and how can we help those that we have left behind, and how can we help the countries that we have come from. And I'm not saying this because I'm that I'm not coming back to Ghana or anything. But then also we should always keep a footing and always a help. What can we do to make the country a better place? Because again, I'm quite passionate about the whole of Africa and how we can change the narrative of Africa and how we can change the story of Africa and how can we make Africa a far better place. And then again, I think some of the things that we can do are those that have traveled and resided abroad and things. Let us take some of our expertise back home. Even if you're not settling for good, we can still have a foothold in there and try and have a positive impact. Auntie Frederica, what advice? I know this COVID again hit and a lot of leaders have been affected by it. I think all of us have been traumatized to some point by this whole pandemic, and some of us have had to, some people have not been able to regroup, some have not been able to restructure themselves, some have not been able to navigate their way through it. What lessons would you say that you have learned through? I know we are still in a pandemic and we are not fully out of it yet, but what lessons have you learned? What knowledge do you want to pass on to someone who is a leader? What encouragement do you want to give to someone?
Okay, you see, the thing is that I think this pandemic has taught all of us a huge lesson, in the sense that we have to always be on our guard and prepare that anything can happen at any time. Anything can happen at any time, because the pandemic is huge and it has affected everything and everybody. And new ways and means of doing things have had to be created. And therefore, with this experience, henceforth, leaders in particular need to look ahead. Some time ago, I think about 7 or 8 years ago, a guy came from the United States to give a lecture at the law school, and he mentioned this virtual teaching or whatever, learning technology. Yeah. And there was a demonstration, and you know that everybody was looking elsewhere. After he came to give us a demonstration, and afterwards, everybody was like, what's this man talking about? How can we speak to the students in Kumasi whilst we are in Accra, different locations? Can they even ask us questions, etc.? And you know what? Nobody followed the man. He just had to leave back. He went back to the States with his technology. But now, this virtual thing has become the in thing. I was even telling my daughter the last time, that you know what, eventually I think I'm just going to give virtual lectures, because I don't have to drive around to go and do whatever. So therefore, if you are a leader, and even all of us, the followers, and leaders like the heads of state and the politicians, they always have to think ahead. You always have to think ahead and plan ahead. And again, that is what it takes me back to my own life, you see, because whilst in South Africa, I had to plan ahead that one day I'm going to go back to Ghana. When I go back, where am I going to stay? How is my life going to be like? Maybe in 5 years' time, 7 years' time, 10 years' time, when I hit the age of 80, am I still going to be able to teach? No, I'm not going to be able to teach. And therefore, I need to have a plan in place. That's what this pandemic has taught all the nations. Especially, like India, for example. Look at what they are going through.
Yeah. I think that is, because again, I think the sad thing is, so I've got people that I'm talking to that are quite happy to adapt. They're quite happy to evolve. They're quite happy to embrace the new norm and run with it. But there's some people that are still waiting for us to go back. Some people just don't want to accept change. They just so difficult and find it impossible to accept change and embrace what is happening and how, because again, as you said, this is, for me, it's been an eye-opener. And I think I'm getting a little bit upset because people still want things to go back, and I'm worried that things should go back because this new norm, I think I've learned so much from, because Prior to the pandemic, I used to drive for meetings all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes you drive to these meetings for an hour, you've got there only to be told the meeting is canceled. Then I have to drive back. I mean, now I don't really care. So I log in 5 minutes to time. And if I'm told the meeting is done, that's what, another minute, the meeting is done. I haven't lost any time. I still have my 2 hours or 3 hours that I would drive. I mean, I delivered, part of my role in my company is to deliver training. And now some of these trainings are now online. So we can all sit on Zoom and do this. I mean, I talked about being passionate about prayer. Since last year, I set up this prayer group on Zoom. We've never met in person. And we've connected from Canada, America, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Tanzania, Zambia, Ghana, Cameroon. And we are all on there and we don't know each other. But it feels like a whole family. And we've just embraced this and we've been able to preach the gospel and we've been able to encourage and empower one another from a distance. So as you said, I mean, is good. But people, when you are going home today, because we're coming to an end, I want you to take that you can do whatever you set up your mind to do. If another man can do it, then I can do it. Don't let age be a barrier. Don't let your sex be a barrier. Don't let the color of your skin be a barrier. Don't let your environment be a barrier. Don't let other people be a barrier. Because for some of us, we are marking time and saying that, oh, but my husband said this, my wife said this, oh, my mother wants me to do this, my father wants me to do this. And so you are just waiting and waiting, and yet you've got this passion on the inside of you about what you wanted to do or what you could have become, and you never became those things. Because that is what it said, the graveyards have become storehouses for things that, great things that never happened. And you said one thing, you said have a mission and plan how you are going to fulfill that mission. Yes, we know that obstacles are going to be thrown in along the way. As the obstacle comes, you find a way to jump over those hurdles. You way to overcome it, because you can become it. You just have to remain focused. What you focus on, what you give your energy to, is what you will become. So if you're focusing on the right thing, you will become it. And so I think from myself and Auntie Frederica, I want to drive home the message: get out of your comfort zone. I think it's get out. Indeed, get out of your comfort zone. Get out. There's nothing that you should let be a barrier. Get out of your comfort zone. Some people are saying, but I'm waiting on God. But guess what? God is waiting on you. And so we've got to step up. Auntie Frederica, I'm sure everybody can see that this woman is amazing. She's in her 70s. Yeah. Auntie Frederica, what would you give us in terms of self-care for leadership? What one thing? I know you said we should continue to exercise. We should continue. I mean, I'm just thinking I want to look like you when I'm 70.
Oh, thank you. But
I definitely should look like you. I want to. I know, I'm not saying I'm going to, but I want to. I desire to.
yes, exercise, watch what you eat, and be happy. Do not let anything worry you at all. I am a very happy person. And then also, humility. Gertrude, I wanted to mention humility. People must be humble. I think I am very, very humble. And I'm happy that I am humble. Everybody is my friend. When you come to the law school, my friends are from the so-called lowly place. The security guards, the drivers, the cleaners, they are the ones that I speak to, and they always rally around me. Gertrude, one thing I learned, when my mom passed away, the day that she was being buried at the cemetery, the grave was almost full of water. And then guess what? Who descended into the grave? The lowly placed ones. The guys who walk around on the streets that people do not respect, they were the ones who jumped into the grave to now scoop all the water out. And that's when I said to my sisters, these are the people that we need to respect and be friends with. What little you have, give to them. Because one day you never know when you are going to need their help. And therefore, humility is something that everybody, every Christian should inculcate in his body, his or her body, let it be part of your body. There's no need. You are a lawyer, and so you've been a lawyer for 50 years. So when you are driving and you have a best car, whom are you going to call to help you? Are you going to call the next lawyer in his suit and bib to come and assist you? It's the ordinary man. So perseverance, have your mission, and humility.
Remain humble and be humble. Oh, thank you, Auntie. I think that's a profound word that I'm taking home. Remain humble, never feel too big. Then you should never feel big in your boots. Remain humble. And it's all, again, it's the humanity thing, isn't it? Let us just love one another, irrespective of who they are, what position they occupy, what you will get from them, what you wouldn't get from them. I mean, Auntie, that's amazing. People, I did say I was going to tell you what my relationship is to this wonderful woman. She is my auntie as well. So I just thought I'll drop that in there so you would know that.
Can I add something?
She's fabulous. Yes.
Oh, I also want to commend you, Gertrude. I want to commend you because you know what? I'm sitting here right now and I want to cry because I remember you as the little girl from South Africa and everything that you have been through. You are here sitting there now, a perfect lady, and you have persevered.
Thank you.
The perseverance and apart from everything, you have a very good heart. And I think everybody knows that in the family. So we always remember you in our prayers. Continue to do all the good work that you have been doing. Look where you are. Why do you think you are where you are now? It's because of the good soul that you have.
Thank you, Auntie. Thank you very much. Thank you. People, thank you very much for joining me on this wonderful conversation. This has been an emotional conversation for me. I just want to say a big thank you to Auntie Frederica, who, I mean, by the way, she's got a new grandson who has just arrived not too long, cute grandson. So she's got 3 wonderful grandsons, by the way, and 3 wonderful daughters as well. So Auntie Frederica, thank you very much for sharing your life journey with us and all those tidbits that came out of this. I think, people, this is a conversation that you would have to watch again and pick more because there's so much that she unpicked with us today. Auntie Frederica, thank you very much. Viewers, thank you for joining us. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, and do share this conversation with someone. And next week, join me because I've got another amazing guest in the studio with us. May God richly bless each and every one of you.
Thank you.